I'd like to clarify that the 100 was in no way an accident. I don't think you can get 100 by accident. You really do have to work for it. But I have some tips and ideas on how you can work for it effectively and not waste your time and study a bit smarter. And all of these ideas have been taken with consideration of the fact that your board exams are really approaching nearby. And so are mine. My physics exam is next Friday, and I've taken some time away to give this advice to you, so I hope you can make use of it. And these are things that I've learned over my experience in studying for 10th boards and 12th boards. So, yeah, let's. So, I'm going to split this video into two parts. First part, NCERT. Majority of your questions come from NCERT, and I know everyone tells you this, but that's because it's true. Majority of your questions do come from NCERT. It's either that they either change the numbers or they might change the content of the question a little bit, but they do try to make at least 70% of the paper relatively simple and relatively straightforward. So the only way you can do this is to do NCERT questions. And I know that you don't have time to do all of the NCERT exercises and examples. So what I will say is go to Teachu, and Teachu actually categorizes most of the important questions, and that is definitely questions that they've either repeated a lot of times in past papers or are actually relevant questions. So Teachu is definitely going to be your go-to for the first few days. Do every single exercise, all the important questions from every single exercise, from all of the chapters. That is your first step. Go to do all the NCERT examples. Okay, maybe not the examples, the exercises. Do all the NCERT important questions exercises. Second thing, past papers. I know that there are a lot of sample papers floating around. The only sample paper that you have to do is the official sample paper for your year, and if you want for 2025. Don't go and do all these sample papers that you find in various different websites. It's not the best use of your time, right? Because it's not CBSE. Only do the official CBSE sample paper 2026 if you want 2025. Then while doing it, you have to ensure that it's in a timed environment, so 3 hours for the paper with allocated 15 minutes for reading time. When you're doing past papers, do at least 5 past papers. I'm saying 4 past papers. I don't mean reading all the questions and only doing the ones that you think you can't solve. No, I want every single question answered within that 3 hours and the 15-minute allocated time. So when you're doing these 5 past papers, because you don't have too much time, you can do 3 from 2025 and maybe 2 from 2024, but even if you do all 2025, that's fine. And once you're done, you take a 15 or 20-minute break. Please don't scroll during that break. Never scroll during your breaks. That's like the most inefficient thing that you can do. Take that break, come back, and you have to mark the paper according to the marking scheme. If you go to the official CBSE website, you can find the past papers from 2022, and you can find the marking scheme along with that. If you don't know where that is, I can help you find it, but the marking scheme is right there in that website. According to the marking scheme, you have to mark your paper exactly like it. So every place that they put half a mark, you put half a mark. Every place that they put 1 mark, you put 1 mark. And if you have a slight doubt, you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll get a full mark for this. Maybe they'll give me... No, just don't give yourself that mark. Make sure that you're being absolutely brutal as possible, so you're getting the lowest mark that you absolutely can, right? And after you finish marking, if you want, you can note down your mark. I made a document about saying paper analysis or something, and then each and every single past paper that I did, I have like the marks and each section-wise marks that I've written down. It doesn't really do anything except like boost my morale, because every time I do past papers, it keeps going higher. Like it does make difference, right? Yeah. After you finish the past paper, after you finish marking it, go through every single question that you got wrong. It doesn't matter if you got 5 questions wrong or 20 questions wrong. It's fine. It's your first past paper. That's fine. Go through every single question that you got wrong. If you don't understand how to do it from the marking scheme, take a screenshot, put it on GPT or Gemini. Ask it for help and ask it to help you understand where you went wrong and why you went wrong. Okay? And whatever concept that you got wrong, regardless of if you only got it wrong once or multiple times, have an error log notebook. I have an error log notebook for each and every single subject. I think this is physics or chem or something. I have math somewhere. Have an error log notebook. Note down these errors that you made, the concept, and if necessary, the formula, and make it short. Don't go and yap and waste your time just writing stuff, right? Only the necessary things, but if you got it wrong, write it down. This is what you're going to be reviewing every other day. Every other day, look at this error log notebook. Make sure that if you make a mistake once, it doesn't repeat. If it does repeat, go back, review it. Every other day, keep reviewing the error log notebook. And this is also what you're going to be reviewing the day before your math exam. Lastly, the most important part, presentation and time management. I cannot possibly stress the importance of presentation enough. It's literally the most important thing in your paper. You can have the most perfect answers, but if it's not presented in the right way, they won't care. Because these examiners, these people who are marking your papers, they have to mark a lot of papers every single day, right? So the best thing that you can do is make it as neat as possible. So it'll be as easy for them as possible. So they'll be a bit more lenient, right? Make sure that your paper is neat. The most specific advice I can give you is for MCQs, question number in the margin, option choice, whatever, A, B, C, D. Make sure if the question paper says capital A, write capital A. If it's small a, write small a. If it's a dot, write dot. If it's a bracket, write bracket. Exactly according to the question paper, right? And along with the option, don't just put the option, put the answer too. Because different examiners check it different ways. Some people memorize the order of the options, so they're like A, B, C, D, B. Other people memorize the answer. So if you have both of it written down, it's very easy for the examiner to see exactly what you were thinking. Okay? When you're doing working, never do working with the MCQ. Always draw a line and do it on the right side of the paper. Always. It's like the best thing that you can do. So your MCQs, the first few pages of your maths paper should look like the neatest and possibly the most perfect thing that the examiner has ever seen. Right? Try to always go in the order of the exam paper. So if it starts from section A, start with section A, section B, section C, section D, section E. I know that some people are used to starting from the back. If you can avoid that, try to avoid it. So that's MCQs. After you finish all the MCQs 20, right? After you finish the 20 MCQs, draw a line. All the other sections, you have to draw lines after completing the paper. So after you finish the entire paper, ideally you should have like 45 minutes left just for corrections and making it presentable. You should draw a line after every single question, not subpart, after every single question. So 21, draw a line, 22, draw a line, okay? And you know how when you were checking the marking scheme, you noted down where you got 1 mark and where you got half mark? Wherever you think it's relevant and wherever the examiners, you think that the examiners are going to, focus on, put a box around that. Put a box around those important points, put a box around the final answers. It's going to be very easy for the examiner to just, their eyes will just go over there, they'll mark a tick, they won't even look at the rest of your answer, right? Boxes and lines are going to be your lifesaver. Even if your handwriting is not as neat, this will make it look neat, right? And lastly, about presentation, if you strike something, if you think that you got an entire answer wrong, or if you got one single line wrong, one single strike, don't scribble, one single strike, start from the next line. If you just got one line wrong, even if it's a small part of the line, strike next line, because it's neater, right? And every time you're putting equal to, make sure that it's in concurrent lines. Don't continue horizontally, always go vertically. It always looks way neater. Doesn't matter if you're taking up too much space. It's what the examiners want to see, so just give it to them, right? Why do you want to risk it? Lastly, time management. What I did may not necessarily work for everyone, but I like to solve my papers quick. I allocated 20 minutes for MCQs, 20 minutes for section B and C, 30 minutes for section D and E respectively. So the most ideal situation would be I would finish my paper in 2 hours. Now you can figure out how realistic this might be for you or not when you're doing your past papers, but best scenario is you have at least 45 minutes to go back to check the paper, to do all these boxes and lines and things. Sorry, boxes you should be doing when you're answering the questions, just the lines. Presentation lines and any questions that you left for last because you weren't able to solve it. Right? You should ideally have 45 minutes left to do that. And however you want to split your time, that's up to you. But always, always, always leave at least 45 minutes for you to come back and review your paper. When you're reviewing your paper, recheck your calculations, draw lines, and come back to any questions that you left. Lastly, this is a tiny, tiny tip. The chapter that I thought I struggled with in 10th was trigonometry, just because of all the resources that you have out there and the weird questions that those resources give. I'll tell you what, for trigonometry, they rarely ask anything beyond the textbook. And even if they do, it's going to be like a slight change here or there. It's going to be something that you can absolutely manage. So make sure you're thorough with the textbook and all the proof questions in the textbook and how they're doing the proof. You'll be fine for the board exam. Trust me, it's not going to be. Trigonometry is not a chapter that you have to worry about as long as you're thorough with the textbook questions. I think for trigonometry alone, I would recommend not only doing the important questions on teaching, but doing the entire exercises. Yeah, so that is all the advice that I have. I really do wish I had an example to show you. Maybe I can show you one of my pre-board papers. So I found my maths pre-board 1 paper. Please don't judge. It's pre-board 1. I don't really care about. Okay, no, not that I don't care, but you know what I mean. Okay, wait. Just look at this. That's how your MCQs should look. There should be your question number, your option, and your answer. Leave a gap between every single question. Make sure to always write the section. And draw a margin, draw a line, and make sure that you're doing all of your rough work in this line. I haven't done it for this, but ideally, if you have time at the end, you should be a single scratch, your rough work on the side. If you read the instructions page on the answer paper in CBSE answer paper, they do mention that, like rough calculations. You don't have to do it, but if you get the time, it would be nice. Look at that. That's how your MCQs are supposed to look like. That's 2 marks. So I've put a box for the final answer, and I've drawn a line after every single question. And for these ones, because they're important, but they're not important enough to be put in a box, I've marked it as 1 and 2, so that the teacher knows what to look at, right? That's what I found for all the questions here. Same thing here. For any rough work, draw a margin, do the rough work on the margin, draw a line after questions, put boxes everywhere you can. Make sure to always write the section. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, don't stress. I really do hope that this advice was at least useful to at least one of you, because I really did take some time away from my interview prep and my board prep to make this video. And don't stress. The last thing that you want to do is stress about it and blank out during the exam. It's 10th grade. It's really not that big of a deal. And the fact that I got 100, I did put the work in, yes, but it was also chance, it was also luck, and it's also a very, very huge thanks to my teachers who were there to support me, especially my maths teacher. She was a huge influence. But at the end of the day, it is luck. The questions that came for me, I knew how to do. So don't stress about it if you can't do like 1 or 2 questions. Yeah, don't stress about it if you can't do 1 or 2 questions in your paper, because it really doesn't matter. It's not that deep. It's just a maths exam. It's just 10th grade. Don't let the stress get to you, right? Do your work, but go in there confident and do the best that you can. Yeah, you guys will be fine.